Hi, and welcome to the Desert Lady Diaries podcast, a weekly conversation with women who found their home in the Mojave Desert. I'm Dawn Davis, and this is episode number 46. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. If you're looking for more information about the podcast, past guests, or want to catch up on previous episodes, or just want to drop me a line, it's all at the website, desertladydiaries.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Desert Lady Diaries and on Twitter as Desert Lady Diary. This time I'm joined by longtime Joshua Tree mother and daughter, Shannon Briggs and Destiny Briggs. They talk about growing up in Joshua Tree, share memories of community events, and the devastation of losing someone close to you to the dangers of the desert. Welcome back to the Desert Lady Diaries podcast. Today, we have a different kind of episode. We have a mom and a daughter to talk to today. So that's exciting. So we're going to see how this goes. First, the mom, Shannon Briggs, is a desert rat. She moved to Joshua Tree in 1981 at the age of 10. She went to 29 Palms High School. Shannon loves to explore the groovy desert, take hikes to Coyote Hole, and enjoys the weather here. She also loves rainbows and desert rain. In 2000, she had Destiny Briggs and raised her as a single mother. Destiny, or as I know her also as DJ, is born and raised a desert rat as well. She has lived in Joshua Tree for 18 years this summer. DJ loves the community events such as the Old Coyote Fest, Turtle Days, and the Joshua Tree Music Festival. DJ has found a safe haven at the High Desert Cultural Center where she is the production intern, and she does an excellent job at that, I may say. And will leave the desert, oh no, to go to school in Seattle for the arts. She's also selling her artwork to assist in paying for college. So if you have any interest in DJ's artwork, where can they find some of it? Do you post it on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you post it on Facebook. So you've been in the desert since 1981. How did you, Shannon, come to the desert?
Well, my grandparents lived here. My mom and stepdad were hippies, and we drove our Volkswagen bus and moved here, I guess because my grandparents lived here.
Just be closer to family and...
Yeah, and then my grandpa died a year later, and then we ended up buying my grandma and grandpa's house.
And that's where you are today?
Which is right on Plaza and Valley View.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up in that house.
Right. So in 1981, what was downtown Joshua Tree like?
There was no stoplights. It was just straight through, drive through, only one lane. It wasn't even double lane.
Oh, wow. And I heard that Crossroads, as we know it today, was not...
No, that was the Winter Circle. That was one of the... Some people say it was a biker bar, but it was one of the places I frequented as a teenager. Mm-hmm. But they had great food also.
What else was down here besides that?
And the saloon, Joshua Saloon. And Sam's Market was...
Really? Was it Sam?
It was, and it was run by different foreigners out of the country.
Okay. Right. Because are they Pakistani, I think?
Something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it was some others.
Well, what's interesting to me is I did a little job when I first came up here. There was an app for the park. And these people they're based out of Vermont, but they were doing these apps with maps and stuff that you could access even without internet for all national parks. One of the first parks was Joshua Tree. But what I found interesting, speaking of like Pakistani or Indian folks, was that every hotel that I went to here, the smaller ones, not of course the Best Western or Holiday Inn,
right.
But the smaller hotels seem to be owned. And I often wonder... Do they all know each other? And how did they end up here? And that's, I guess, I should do a podcast with them.
You should. Sam's owns a lot of businesses.
Right. They have Hero Market.
They have Heroes.
Right.
They have, what's the sandwich shop by Steak and Shake?
Is it
the Firehouse?
Oh, okay.
They're the ones opening Juice It Up.
The Smoothie King?
No, Juice It Up.
Juice It Up is already open.
Oh, well,
The one by the Quiznos?
By Starbucks?
No, by the dollar store.
Oh, King Smoothie or something. King Smoothie.
Yeah.
Oh, I swear he gave me Juice It Up cards.
He might have.
Buy one, get one free.
Maybe they agreed to use it there or something like that. Yeah, I drove into Staters the other day for groceries, and I I saw something new by the Dollar Tree. So
there was two of them.
Ice cream and smoothie.
Oh man, I didn't need to know that.
Yeah, I know.
So looking back from 1980 to now. What are some of the changes that you've seen?
Oh. Well, the tourism is, frankly, my opinion, is out of control. We moved here to a quiet little paradise, quiet place that didn't have very many people. And now everyone's finding it. Right. And everybody's coming, and now it's not quiet little paradise anymore.
No. Do you think that the desert has a way of like sorting out people though that may come here and think, oh, well, I want to be here, and then maybe a year later they're like, not for me?
Some people, and then there's the ones that always come back, that leave and always come back. Like I got married and I left for about 7 years, and then I got divorced and moved back.
Okay. I often ask that. So let's ask that question of DJ, because now you're going to be going up to Seattle. Yes. Growing up here, did you ever have those thoughts of, I cannot wait to get out of here?
Not until my teenage years, because when I was younger, a lot of activities happened. So we had the Turtle Days, and my grandma worked for the Chambers of Commerce. So I was always at those events. I was in the newspaper for several of those events. I was like the poster child of the community, and I loved being everywhere. And then as the events stopped and childhood kind of washed away, it's kind of like, what is there to do here besides drugs, drinking, or bowling?
Oh, gosh.
I don't like bowling.
There's a lot of that in Cleveland. I spent some time in Cleveland. There's a lot of bowling in Cleveland, too.
And so it's kind of like, I'm not much of a social person, so I didn't have that many friends, and it's like, I don't like being here. There's nothing to do here. Why can't we go down the hill? Because we don't have gas to go down the hill. I don't like going down the hill. Between the ages of 11 to about 14, I'd say I couldn't stand. I was like, I just want to go somewhere else.
Right.
You didn't appreciate the national park, or I'd say the monument.
Right.
As a teenager, we used to go to the monument. I still call it the monument.
Well, and for those people listening who don't understand what you're saying, let's talk about that.
Well, it used to be the Joshua Tree National Monument.
It wasn't like an official, quote-unquote,
no, it wasn't a national
park
till 1994.
Right, okay.
And I believe Minerva
Hoyt.
Hoyt, yes. But we used to go to the park all the time. We used to go and explore, hike, party, but we never destroyed anything. We never destructed anything. We never left our trash.
Which is a huge
We never
problem.
did any of the stuff that is being done.
Right.
And has for years now.
And I wonder about that. What do you think? I mean, how do we educate people that are coming in about that sort of thing, that it's really important that they do pack out what they pack in, that it means every last thing that you brought? I go in the park sometimes and I bring a baggie for my toilet paper.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
education and probably more trash containers.
Right. Or even more at the gate when they check people in and just kind of give them a quick rundown of what needs. I mean, I know, but the line's backed up already with the number of people coming in down Quail Springs Road.
Locals can't even go anymore.
I go at night.
Oh, do you go at night?
Yeah, I go at night sometimes.
And is it okay?
Well, the gate is usually clear, so I can get in. And then I try and find, I don't go to Barker or, those other places that are overloaded. I try and find the smaller spots. Or I'll park in one of the side things that you can pull over and take some pictures.
What about you go to Keys View?
I've been up there, watch sunsets, beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So that's gorgeous. Top of Ryan Mountain.
Yeah.
The first time I came with my friends, we had lunch up there after hiking up and stuff. Yes. That was a special trip.
Cool.
I would say not going to the national park as much when I was younger is a big regret for living in the desert, because now going up there, it's like, oh, you're going to the national park? Well, everyone goes to the national park. It's not as special, especially with all the arrogant people that go up there. And the lines like Kathleen always talks about how she can barely leave her house because she's on that road.
Exactly.
Because there's so much traffic. And it doesn't sound as much fun.
Well, and I think to your point, people move out because have moved here because they want the quiet, because they love the atmosphere.
Right.
And I just overheard this past weekend, I was out in Wonder Valley and people were saying, oh yeah, we just moved here, it's great, you can make as much noise as you want. And I'm like, no, where did you read that?
Right. No, that's
and also, where is your own sense of consideration for? I know your neighbors might be 5 acres away, but still, sound carries far. Man.
You can hear.
Yeah, things carry far in the desert. So you talked about the celebrations, like Tortoise Days and stuff like that. Talk a little about some of that stuff.
So My grandma, as I said, worked with the Chambers of Commerce, and so I would always be there kind of early, and I'd help set up everywhere that I could. When I was younger, I was a very helpful person. Remember, I would get like citizenship awards all the time from...
I would say you're still a helpful person.
Yes.
Well, and let me blink it, get in there.
Sure.
Turtle Days used to be like how Yucca Valley has Grub Stakes Days.
Mm-hmm.
Turtle Days used to be in Joshua Tree. We'd have a parade. We had a carnival.
Mm-hmm. Was it one day or a couple of days?
No, it was like the whole weekend. And it was right at the Sunburst Park, so it was less than...
Right behind the saloon.
It was a quarter a block from my house to walk to it. So that was Turtle Days.
Right.
And then after Des was born and got older, the carnival and all that stopped. I'd say that stopped in the early 90s. Early 90s.
Was it
late 80s?
Folks that were running the chamber at that point, just there was no interest?
I'm not sure. I honestly, because I was just a teenager, I didn't
know the specifics.
Yeah.
But I remember still having like dunk tanks and stuff. And I remember I would always be like, do me. Because I've always loved the water. And there was the mechanical bull, so you could ride up there. I would always ride it. And then you could also lasso a sheep or a lamb or something.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember I got it on my first try and they gave me a shirt. And I think I still have the shirt somewhere in the garage.
Oh my goodness.
I think so too.
I still have the little turtle that I made. You used to make these little wooden turtles, and that would be your kind of turtle race. You would race them down the slope.
Oh, kind of like soapbox derby turtle.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But with turtles.
Like
little cool
wood turtles, and you get to paint it. And I still have it sitting on my bookshelf right now.
Oh my gosh. We should get a picture of that.
I'll send you
Send me a picture of that. We'll put it with the episode. That would be neat.
Yeah, that would be... They did the races down in Panorama Heights.
Okay.
Across from Copper Mountain College.
Yeah.
The roads are... And so they'd go to the top of one of the roads.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't I do that too? I think I did.
Yep.
And I have
With
newspaper
Dawn
clippings. And I was driving this weird
always
yellow
in the
one.
paper.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a famous
JT
baby.
poster child.
Yes.
You said, right?
Born and raised here.
My
Can't believe it.
Right. And now she's about to head off to Seattle.
I can't believe my baby's turning 18, gonna graduate high school.
I know.
And go to college.
And she does an amazing job at the theater. How did you get involved
so
in the theater?
proud,
Did
so
you start
proud.
acting first, or?
Over at the Joshua Tree Community Center, I started with Cindy Snyder.
Okay.
With kids, teens acting up at the age of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those summer things where my grandma was like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, sounds awesome. And we started with clown makeup. There was this weird improv thing where you had to bring 3 random things and do it. And I was like a hairdresser. I'm like, oh my gosh, honey, you need more conditioner. And I've been acting ever since. When I got a little too old, I started to help co-directing with Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom, hey, because she's followed Jared Radnich through a lot of the things. And she's like, do you want to do this? I was like, sure, I'll do it. And so I did Lion King Jr. in 2015 summer. And Howard loved me. They gave me kind of like scholarships and stuff for the academy. And then at the beginning of 2016, Matt, our old technical director, he said, hey, Deej, do you want to work backstage? I was like, oh, heck yeah, I want to work backstage. And so that was for Spitfire Grill. And I was kind of like the assistant stage manager to William Hart.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's kind of started it. And then the next thing was like, hey, do you want to do lighting? I don't know how to, but sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that was with Dog Logic. And it kind of just like progressed along more and more and more. And everything kind of just became, now I'm the production intern.
And doing a lot of stage manager work too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And didn't the very first thing you do was like the woman in the shoe? Or you were...
There at the age of 8, I was in The Golden Goose. And that was before our Amazing Black Box was the Amazing Black Box. It had a weird stage. The kitchen wasn't the kitchen. It went like all the way to the North Studio, and there was a vending machine.
Really?
It was really weird.
But I tried to get her into High Desert Culture Center a year and a half before she finally did.
It's a great facility. I mean, it's an amazing...
yeah.
I've worked in a lot of theaters, and this is just
And then you're...
state of the art, the lighting, the sound, the effects.
It is?
Oh
It
my
is?
goodness.
Oh, it's so
yes.
good.
It's so
for small town. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly the thing. I walked in to audition for Dracula, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing."
Wow, they really got it going
and
on.
the production was amazing. Yeah,
one of my favorite productions. That was the one that I did the most on. So I started in the beginning. So all that set, I cut that, I painted that, I helped screw that all in. I helped with all of that. I think that was the one I've done the most work on.
Dracula. What do you think it is about that stuff that just excites you?
So, especially for stage management, I've always been a bossy person.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Always been the bossy person.
But she's after her mother.
Oh, okay. So she comes by it honestly.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's kind of what the stage manager does. They make sure everyone's on time. They make sure everyone's got their stuff. They're kind of like the big boss of the theater. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, bossing people around, being kind of mean, but also being the kind of mother, that sounds exactly like me. And so...
Firm.
Yes. Firm but loving.
Right, exactly.
And so over the summer for Madagascar Junior, I was the stage manager, and I felt like there was not a big change because I've always been kind of like that. Even when I was an actress, I'd be backstage like, guys, be quiet, you're not supposed to be talking, or have you made sure your prop is here or there? And there was quite a few emotional episodes, and I was always there first to, kind of like, hey, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah, she always could pick up the slack. With all the other actors, she knew their lines. She's always been like that. And if anybody was having a hard time, she'd just hug them and little Mother Goose and love them. And
well, I think that's probably learned behavior from someone who taught that to her.
yeah, I'd like to think so. I was a single mother.
How was that? Was that all here, right?
Yeah, that was all here. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got divorced in 99 and then had her in 2000. And yeah.
But you made it happen. I mean, I don't even know how women with partners do it. With getting up, getting kids ready to get to school and all the activities, and then getting themselves together and getting out the door to work. It's just a lot.
Honestly.
Groceries, cooking.
No. I did all that.
Most of the time, I got up by myself. There was this one time I made my own lunch.
After like fifth grade.
No, this happened in third grade. I wanted an apple and she wasn't awake to cut it. So I brought
she brought a
kitchen
steak
knife.
Bring a knife to school.
Yes.
Yep.
And I went up to the duty guard. I'm like, ma'am, will you cut this for me? And she screamed and thought I was going to stab her.
Oh my goodness.
My first ever suspension was on a Monday. And I freaked out because I thought it was going to be on my permanent record. I was like, oh my gosh, no.
That was third grade. I let you go by yourself in third grade.
Yes.
Well, that's right. When I grew up, I went to kindergarten by myself. I mean, we lived in a town with a main street and sidewalks, so it wasn't as rural.
Right.
And I wouldn't say it was suburban. We would live 3 blocks from Main Street, and I would go to the grocery store. It was on Main Street. But I walked to kindergarten by myself. But that was a different time. That was a different
one thing for me is I stopped working. I worked up until she was like 7.
5 or 6.
6?
About 6.
I think Blimpie's was the last place. And then I cleaned houses to make ends meet.
Sure.
My point was I had the time to spend with her, to read to her, to sing to her.
Do art, because she does some beautiful artwork.
We didn't do too much. We did some coloring. We do coloring because I'm not that much of an artist.
I did most of my art with Grandma.
Yeah, she did most of her art with Grandma.
Grandma was my best friend when I was younger.
Aw.
Yeah, she was.
Now that she's ready to go off to school, how does that all feel for you?
I'm freaking out. I'm scared. I'm excited. I'm delighted for her. I'm the proudest. I don't think I could be any more prouder than I am. But I'm going to have a hard time. I'm definitely going to have
'cause you guys are
detachment issues.
Peas in a pod.
Yeah. I'm more attached to her than she is to me.
Aw.
But they say...
But that's how mothers are.
They say when you raise a child that's ready to spread their wings and go off, then you've done your job.
Exactly. That's the goal, is to have them go on and live their lives.
Right.
And do their thing. So.
And, I mean, it's so sad. I just looked at Facebook this morning and saw pictures of her when she was 2 and 3 and 4. And here she's almost a woman, and she's going to be an adult and doing the adult life.
So give yourself a break and celebrate that, because you made that happen.
But I'll always be mom.
Exactly.
I'll always be
that's what my
mama,
mom always says too. even at my age. So,
really?
Yeah, she always says it. Yeah. So people come out to the desert, and they don't really realize what goes on here sometimes. But you all had an experience, I think, that can illustrate what can happen when you're not aware of how harsh a place this is.
Yeah,
you want to talk about that?
Flash flooding is very real here in the desert. And September 16th of 2014, we had a freak storm. Our house started flooding, and basically my stepdad was on his way to come help us. And he got caught in the ditch on Sunny Vista and got swept away and died.
That's really hard.
Just dealing with the house being flooded and 12 inches of mud everywhere, and then the death of this person that you love, and trying to work both at the same time, funeral arrangements, and the guilt, because he was on his way to our house to help us.
Yeah.
So, but it's still very close to, this is my best friend and her mother. But yeah, don't drive through, don't drive through water. You never know where it's rained prior and can come down. Like they say, turn around, don't drown. It can happen.
Don't think you're invincible. That's another thing that I think people thinking that they are invincible leads to most of the casualties, because if they're doing something and they say, oh, that won't affect me, it's probably going to affect you.
Right.
And so kind of like taking back and saying, I'm really capable of this, but I think it'd be best not to deal with it. You know, maybe I won't go near that big rattlesnake hole to look at it, or maybe I won't go up this big old hill because it's very steep, because I might fall.
Or definitely take direction with you when
like
you go
those
into the
GPS
park.
things and things like that, right? You were saying that so many people have come in and never been found.
There's a few people that have come and have never been found to this day.
Wow.
And
so when you came in the 80s, did they still have the, like they have today, the Joshua, the rescue folks?
They did not. I believe they did not have the search and rescue team.
Search and rescue, that's what it was.
Search and rescue,
Joe right?
Yeah, I know a couple people on it that I went to school with. That we all grew up here. I don't think they had it in the early 80s.
Probably didn't need it because it wasn't, like we say, as
it wasn't
popular as it is now, which is another thing. It's like then people come in, but because of the terrain and depending on what time of year you're here, because of the heat, and if you haven't prepared yourself with enough water, warm clothes in case the temperatures dip overnight.
So many different factors of... And one, for me, I'm guilty. I have no sense of direction. So for me, I can go, and if I walk 500 feet away from somebody, then I'm lost, and I can't
make heads or tails of it.
So for me, it's a real, I don't mess around.
You need to go with somebody.
Yeah.
Which is really the recommended thing, probably.
But water... And, and you can't count on your phone.
No.
You can't count on your phone being GPS and...
No, they actually make, like, satellite phones or something like that. Or I know some people have, like, a satellite GPS sort of thing. And they can maybe even send a signal that way if they're in trouble or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So it's dangerous. Any big plans for the graduation and the send-off party or any of that stuff?
I don't know.
Or should we not is it a surprise and we shouldn't be talking
probably
about it?
For her 18th birthday we'll have the graduation, and that'll be a celebration. And then 19 days later she turns 18. So
we're going to get me a tattoo.
Oh yeah, my brother. You should show that.
So my brother, not my brother, your brother. My uncle died of colon cancer in September of 2016, and he was kind of like a father figure to me. And so you know how the ribbons are, and I'm kind of a big fan of feathers, and he kind of like flew away from us. And so I drew this tattoo of the blue cancer ribbon, but half of it is like a feather and it's flying away. I'm gonna get that as my first tattoo on my left shoulder.
And I want to get it too.
Yeah.
Nice.
But now, like when I got this tattoo, at the ink right next to the saloon, Josh Tree Saloon, in 1999, $35. Now for this thing they want $250.
Oh my gracious.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't look.
And so I don't know how we're gonna she might just
make it happen.
She might get hers, and then maybe sometime down the road I get mine.
But what a nice tribute.
But for the going away, my best friend and I were kind of inseparable. We're very, very close. I'm like her sister. They've kind of adopted me. And so I told her, before I go off, we need to celebrate her birthday, Halloween, Thanksgiving. I'll be back for Christmas, but we got to celebrate those things. Because we always celebrate them together.
Aww.
And so we'll have just a big, giant party of stuff.
Yeah, she's always gone over at best friend's house. And other family house.
Right.
Makes this mama feel bad sometimes.
Don't tell everyone I neglect you. Now they're going to hate me.
I don't think anyone who knows you would believe that.
No, yeah.
How did you find the school that you're going to?
I had no idea what I was looking for. And so I went into Google and I said, Stage Management Universities. And I...
Google is something else.
Yes. And so I also had lots of help from Howard Shangra.
Oh, great.
He's like, Webster. And so I did Webster. And they really liked me. So I got academically accepted with a $14,000 scholarship.
Wow.
Great stage management school. But it's in St. Louis. And so I think that's a little too far for my taste. And they never got back to me about the arts deal of it. And so I also looked at like Boston University and Carnegie Mellon and stuff like that. But when I looked at Cornish, because I was just going through the list, I was like, oh, that's a really cool name. Seattle. I've never been to Seattle. Seattle looks really nice. And I looked into the school, and I looked into the programs, and I loved how the curriculum, you start out, because they're kind of broken up into like dance, art, theater, and performance production, and then broken into subsections. So with performance production, you have stage management, you have costuming, you have lights, you have sound, technical direction, you have all these things. And so in the beginning, you all start off at the same level, and then as you progress, you break off. And you do internships so that you're ready when you come out. And I really like that aspect. Washington, it's not too far away. I like the cold. I love the rain. I thrive in that weather.
And it's for you.
We're trying to tell her it rains 300 days a year. And
I went for a weekend
and might not see the sun.
Yeah, it was like 3 days of rain and 1 day of sun. Actually, everybody I ran into that knew I was visiting said, you really got a good weekend.
Oh, great.
But it's wonderful. Their library downtown is amazing. And I think I sent you an email with some really inexpensive flights.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Every once in a while, Alaska or Southwest will have them. They're a little more expensive out of Palm Springs. They're really inexpensive out of LA. And we talked about the train back and forth from Fontana or Rialto or whatever. But you can make it happen for pretty reasonable. If you plan
What about Ontario? What about Ontario?
I think they fly out of there. Yeah. But I don't know how...
Oh, the train.
Well, usually the bigger the hub, the cheaper the price. So of course in LA, it's super cheap.
The biggest.
But out here, it's a little more like, I think in LA, it was like either $69 each way. Right.
$69?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you got it every once in a while they go on sale. So if you kind of have a little plan of this is when I'm going to come back or whatever, you can kind of watch for those sales and book your flights.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was like a little over 100, I think, from Palm Springs.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay for the convenience of just being able to go to Palm Springs. Or, Ontario, I'm not sure, but you can check.
Right. Palm Springs is so easy to fly in and out of.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a little bit more
I don't like flying at all.
So are you going to drive up there to visit?
Well, so we're going to take her. We're going to drive her up to Seattle in August.
20 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
And tow her truck behind her. Mm-hmm. Which her truck belonged to my brother. My brother left her his truck, so she has
transportation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
so where around Seattle is Cornish?
It's right in the center.
Oh, great.
It's right in the center.
Okay.
Right by the Space Needle.
It's not right by the Space Needle, but the Space Needle is very, very close in sights. But according to the map, it's like right off Main Street.
Okay. Because I stayed up by the Space Needle, and then I was able to walk to the Space Needle. There's a little monorail,
yeah.
that goes, and there's a great museum there. I think they used to call it the Pop Museum or something, and now it's something else, but it's a museum dedicated to music.
Oh,
which is wonderful. So if you do go up there and you've got a little time to spend as a family, a little bit. I mean, when I went, they had a huge Kurt Cobain exhibit upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
They switch them out all the time. I'll have to look it up before you go, and we'll give you the name so you can check it out. Maybe, you get up there, you get unpacked, and then you go, let's go to the museum.
Right.
My head goes to Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, going to the Rock and Roll of History Museum.
Jack Black.
Jack Black. Somebody said he was up here.
Jack Black was at John's place.
Yes.
And Seth Rogen.
Get out of
29
here.
Palms. Cool stoners speak together. Like, listen, gotta try this awesome burger place. He comes up and goes.
Mm-hmm. And then Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa always comes up here and goes to Crossroads. Chris knows him very well.
Oh, really?
Yes, and so he also went to John's place.
Okay. Because I saw somebody post. Did you share somebody's video, I think, maybe?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay,
Because
yeah.
Jack Black is my man crush. I love him.
My brother loved him, too.
Yeah, we get a little bit of that up here. I know Bianca was saying somebody was up at her Airbnb from Grey's Anatomy or something.
Really? One of the newer ones. I didn't know her.
I didn't recognize the name, but I don't really watch the show, so.
I used to watch it, and...
We used to watch it.
it, yeah. But now, it's not the same.
Right, because a lot of the main characters are...
just... I'm getting away from TV.
I watch the news at like 6 o'clock, so I watch the local news, and then I watch Lester Holt. He and I have dinner, together most nights.
Right.
And then I shut it off. I'm either reading or I've got a whole shelf full of coloring books, doing something, editing a podcast or something like that.
Well, I have a caveman boyfriend.
Oh.
And
he loves TV.
He loves TV and loves meat and some of the things that I'm looking differently at as I'm getting older.
Gotcha. Yeah. Which we tend to do. Everybody is at a different pace with that,
but he's not going to change.
Well, that's another thing that sometimes happens when we get older.
I seldom have time to actually sit down and watch TV. I run Netflix in the background.
Oh, there you go.
But with 3 AP classes, I'm very, very busy all the time.
And when she's not there, she's at theater.
Yeah, when I'm not there, I'm at work with theater, dealing with you and other lovely people.
I hope I'm one of the easier ones.
Oh, yes. You were an absolute delight to deal with.
I'm glad to hear that.
But I think it's really interesting because a lot of the people in the desert are very uneducated with lots of things. And
how so?
Well, especially when it comes to politics, I think people are very tunnel visioned,
one way.
Yeah, one way, and they don't have the capability in their mind to look at someone else's argument. So with the AP classes I've taken, right now I'm taking AP Government and Politics. It has opened my mind. I've told everyone until I take government, I will never have a side on politics because I don't understand it. And now I completely understand it. The world looks a little bluer because I have an understanding. Same thing with literature and stats.
I just was never any good with numbers of any sort. So,
but she's going to be able to vote here.
Yeah,
this
and I know
new
what
generation.
I'm voting for.
Excellent.
In the off election, I'm so excited.
You know what you're
That's
voting
fun.
for?
That's great. Well, we could use a little more of that. I think I actually saw you post the other day on Facebook. Does anybody know what civil rights is?
Yes.
How did you do on that?
Well, not very many people posted, and I expected more of a bigger turnout because a lot of people have been debating about it. But I think people are scared to get the wrong, put their thing
I didn't know what
and
to
be
say.
very for it and have the total wrong answer.
I didn't know what to say. I mean, I thought it's your rights
No. Civil liberties are your rights. Civil liberties are given with the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. They give you your rights, but they're called civil liberties. Civil rights are what we fight for with court cases. They protect against discrimination of race, gender, or orientation. So court cases and issues dealing with the 14th Amendment, those are civil rights. And so with the thing saying it's my civil right to be able to say this, it's my civil right to do this. Actually, no, it's your civil liberty. And a lot of people don't understand that. And when I point that out, they're not very happy with me.
Well, we have this I don't know what to call it, this attitude, I guess, among people that they don't want to be wrong.
Yes.
Right.
That it's so shameful to be wrong or to say, I don't know.
To learn.
To me, that's your ego.
Right.
Versus, that's your personality versus what your heart and soul already know
to be true. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that's the sort of thing that's being discussed in school, and it's at a perfect time when you would be in a position to make a voting decision, whether it's voting on a person in politics or whether it's voting on a bill or an issue. Exactly. So that's great.
It's great because also the class, it flows with everything that's going on. So if we don't have much to do, Mr. Roush will print out an article about the new tax bill that Trump passed or something like that. And things that are happening right now in Congress.
So it's relevant.
Yes, it's very relevant.
That's excellent.
And that's very good, real world connection.
Yeah, that's important. Well, and you learn better when you do have that.
You have a concept to actually
exactly,
put it together.
Right. I really am glad you guys came today. I learned a little bit more about what was here before I got here and what's no longer here. And I wish you the best with your little empty nest, Shannon.
Thank you.
Coming soon. And I wish you, of course, the best as you head to Seattle.
Thank you.
It's going to be wonderful.
Thank you very much, Dawn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Desert Lady Diaries podcast. I want you to know how much I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. If you heard something that inspired or enlightened you, I'd love to hear about it. Send an email to desertladydiaries@gmail.com or start a discussion with other listeners at the Desert Lady Diaries Facebook page. Next week, mom, musician, and healthy eating advocate Amy Angel talks about the health scare that led her to her dietary regimen and how having a kids' clothing store led her to becoming the wardrobe mistress for the High Desert Cultural Center. If you're enjoying this podcast, I hope you'll subscribe and share it with a friend. Thanks so much for listening.